Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Discovery. This is the series where I head on out into the galaxy to find the unusual, the spectacular and the beautiful. On today's episode, I take a look at some of the strangest and most unusual planets so far discovered. Every so often, someone comes across a strange and unusual planet, something that dramatically stands out against the backdrop of all the other worlds out there, a world then that is extremely beautiful. Now this planet was recently featured in a video by Yamiks and you can check that out in the video description, there's a link there. It's a fair way out, it's in the Synwave sector, but not too far. You should be able to quite easily get here, even in a ship with a reasonable jump distance, say 25 to 30 light years, shouldn't be too much of a problem. Of course, you can without doubt immediately see what makes this world stand out. The geology here is simply amazing, and the mist comes very close to making this feel somewhat like an atmospheric world. The deep canyons obviously make it extremely fun to fly around, especially if you come here in a ship that's got a very high speed. The downside is that if you're silly enough to fall into one of the canyons, there's a good chance you won't be getting back out without destructing your SRV. Now it's unknown to me whether or not this is an unintended form of the procedural generation found in Elite Dangerous, and if you really do look around at some points, especially towards the horizon, you'll notice that there does seem to be some issues with the height maps. But whether or not this world should truly exist is, to me at least, largely irrelevant, because it's downright beautiful. Perhaps somewhat unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of places like this in Elite, not this type of world specifically, but places that are unusual. They're very hard to come across, but ultimately when you do find something, it really makes the whole exploration experience very much worthwhile. Now it isn't always a world's geology that makes it stand out, occasionally it's its location, and sometimes it's its parent star. This right here is Betelgeuse, one of the largest stars within the local areas of space. Now there are of course a whole bunch of arguments over how this name is pronounced. Truth is, Betelgeuse is one of the correct versions. There was some translation issues from the original Arabic word, which means that astronomers now use variations of the word. Most of them are actually considered to be correct. Now you will have noticed just how large the star looks from here, and we're nearly 2,000 light seconds away from it. The nearest landable planet, meanwhile, is not that much further out. That makes visiting Betelgeuse and its landable planets quite an experience within the game. Now I visited here not too long ago, but it was a good opportunity to come back to see what the place looks like with the new planetary surfaces. Now one thing I immediately noticed that's changed is when you come down to the planetary surface, you're no longer within fuel scoop range of the star. Not quite sure what's happened there, but it is a difference compared to the last time I visited. That said, do keep in mind that this planet here will somewhat increase the heat of your ship. My ship normally runs at around 28% heat, so it's slightly up. Now anyone who's been watching my videos for quite a while will know that I'm no big fan of hunting down materials, especially when it comes down to driving around. That said, I do very much enjoy driving around on planets, I just don't particularly enjoy hunting down random materials. But driving around on the surface of planets like this one really does add to the atmosphere, and it makes the whole experience that much more interesting. And of course, due to the proximity of the planet, it makes it that much more interesting to check out solar flares and mass ejections. Now, planets orbiting close to stars is one thing, moons orbiting close to planets is quite another, especially when it comes to one of the most famous examples, Mitterrand Hollow. Now, believe it or not, this is not a time-lapse. This is the actual speed at which the moon orbits the planet. Now, this is not scientifically accurate, of course, it's simply come about by a mistake in the settings done by Frontier at some point in the past, and they decided to leave it this way due to its fame and due to the entertainment players get from coming out here. Now it does make landing on the moon very difficult, and if you're going to chase it, you're simply not going to catch up with it. Instead, you have to come round in front of the moon and wait for it to come towards you. Perhaps unsurprisingly, what the fast orbit of this moon means is that you get very rapid planet rise down here. It's so rapid in fact that the day and night cycle can literally be counted in seconds rather than hours or even minutes. The parent planet here is of course inhabited, and that makes the visuals even more interesting, as on the night side you're bound to see city lights. So this video then highlights just 3 of the unusual planets within Elite Dangerous. Over the course of the years that the game has been out, there have of course been many others. Some of them you can still visit, just like the ones in this video. Others no longer exist, unfortunately, due to the various changes that have taken place in the game over that time. At any rate, I'll leave you now to take a look at some of those planets, some of the perhaps most beautiful planets I've ever visited.